Having achieved critical success with The Last Ninja and its subsequent sequels in 1987 and 1988 respectively, System 3 had developed a formidable reputation as one of the top software houses in 80s Britain, and here they bring you Myth, History in the Making. Before the game begins, you are treated to an introductory credit sequence that lists each of the people involved in the development process, with music composed by Jeroen Tel from Maniacs of Noise. This sequence would have been worth the price of admission alone. Even today, there's something about this particular piece that induces a tingling sensation in the back of my neck. The last remaining Titans, presumably of ancient Greek mythology, have been maintaining a watchful eye on Earth's inhabitants and have been seeking an individual who might aid them in resolving their current predicament. The principal thorn in their sides and an ever-present threat is Damaron, a hostile deity possessing considerable power, not to mention thirst for destruction and desire to enslave all beings, mortal or otherwise. For whatever reason, the Titans are incapable of addressing this threat directly, instead requiring the intervention of an outside party. Having scoured the planet for suitable candidates, it would seem that the only person capable of fighting back against this seemingly indomitable foe is a seemingly ordinary teenage youth. Sporting a varsity jacket and brilliant white Converse shoes, what sets this most unlikely of heroes apart from other would-be hopefuls is his obsession with mythological legends and the occult. It is his knowledge and willingness to believe in the fantastical that would seemingly make him the ideal candidate to deal with the threat imposed by an omnipotent demon god. The Titans managed to secure the youth's allegiance by appealing to the fascination with mythology, promising him the opportunity to meet the very gods and creatures that he has dreamed about for so long. Projected across the dark void of time and space, our hero is cast into the distant past on a mission to defeat the supporters of Damaron, altering the course of history and changing the balance of power in favour of his Titan masters. Only once this has been accomplished can he hope to defeat the vengeful god once and for all. In terms of structure, the game is divided into 4 principal levels, each of which is divided into a series of stages. Each of these is set within distinct time periods of human history, with level design and artwork attempting to reflect architectural styles of the period, as well as cultural influences. What the developers have done, however, is to draw upon the folklore, legends and various mythologies associated with each culture, using these as inspiration in the design of the locations you visit, not to mention the vast majorities of enemies encountered. No doubt inspired by films like Clash of the Titans, Jason and the Argonauts and other fantasy adventures, it's fair to say that Hollywood cinema has also left its mark on the game. Whether you're fighting a horde of skeleton warriors or clashing with the Norse god of thunder, the game includes plenty of dynamic, theatrical moments. As for the game itself, it is best described as an arcade-style adventure that features plenty of combat and platforming action. As a side-scrolling game, it is considerably more linear than the Last Ninja series, but also ends up being more accessible as a result. Controlling the main character is both simple and straightforward. Moving the joystick without the fire button depressed will move in the corresponding direction, whilst pushing up and diagonally will execute a running jump, enabling you to cross chasms and reach higher platforms. Holding down the fire button readies the player for combat, resulting in an offensive stance that not only looks impressive, but also provides a useful visual indication that directional input will now result in attacks rather than movement. Combat constitutes a fairly large component of the game, so it's just as well that you're equipped with a variety of offensive moves. Attacking without a weapon equipped will unleash a range of punches or kicks, although these lack the range or effectiveness to deal with many of the game's later foes. Weapons such as swords prove to be far more effective in dealing with Damaron's minions, granting extra range and attack power, while fireballs and daggers prove more useful still, granting you the ability to deal with enemies from afar. Your health is represented by a series of ornate jewels displayed in the status panel at the top right of the screen. The gems transition through a series of colours, blue to black, to denote the level of life energy remaining. Once all gems have been drained, you will perish, sacrificing one of your 3 lives in the process. Lose all lives and the game is over. As you might expect, life energy is drained whenever you are touched by enemies or struck by their attacks, as well as by coming into contact with hazardous objects. What is less expected, however, is the fact that life energy also decays at a constant rate, irrespective of whether you've taken damage. Additional energy can be obtained by slaying certain enemies, whose death will result in a glowing ball of life force being jettisoned into the sky. These won't hang around for long, so you must be quick off the mark if you wish to top off your life energy and avoid spending the rest of eternity as a lost soul in servitude to Dameron. Although you have 3 life gems from the outset, perhaps one of the lesser known features in the game is that it's possible to gain a 4th gem relatively early on. Actually acquiring the gem is far from obvious, and the eventual solution is yet another example of how creative and devious System 3 could be. Although the platforming and combat elements are all well and good, you'll quickly discover that making headway in Myth is really as simple as hitting things with a sword until they fall over. This is no bad thing, however, since the game would be far less memorable if it were not for the inclusion of the various puzzles and objectives that make up each level. Quite often, any eventual solution is gleaned through a combination of experimentation and trial and error. For example, skeleton warriors defeated in battle will eventually drop a sword, a weapon that not only affords additional prowess in combat, but is also an item that can be used to interact with certain parts of the scenery that might yield a way forward when poked or stabbed. Succeed in your endeavours and you'll be sucked into blackness of the void as you prepare for the final confrontation with Dameron himself. Now blessed with supernatural powers and having adopted the full lotus position, you levitate across time and space, shooting down all manner of squid-like horrors and interdimensional anomalies. Considering the level of creativity and thought that went into the rest of the game's content, it comes as something of shock that this final stage turns out to be a horizontally scrolling shoot-'em-up. Although perfectly functional, this level proves to be a radical departure from the formula that made the rest of the game such a success, and the end result is something that feels almost anticlimactic as a consequence. Although by no means perfect, in Myth, System 3 managed to create something that not only demonstrates its passion for video games as an art form, but also its ability to create a cohesive structure with mechanics that result in something fun and engaging to play. After all, this is a game which people are expected to play and enjoy. Perhaps even more impressive is the all too brief appearance of a young woman on screen who proceeds to utter the words, "Welcome to Myth."
Welcome to Myth.
Such is the clarity of the digital speech sample that my 9-year-old self practically fell out of the chair the first time I heard it. Even today, it never fails to be less than impressive. With exemplary presentation, artistic flair and engaging gameplay, Myth, History in the Making remains not only one of System 3's very best titles, but remains a standout title in the C64's extensive library. Highly recommended. If you agree, don't forget to hit the like button and let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate your support and also your feedback, and do read all of the comments and will reply to all of you individually. Once again, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, then please consider following me on this epic journey to revisit some classic Commodore games. There's plenty more games on the channel bursting with nostalgia, and some more suggested at the end credits. So, without further ado, I'll say another massive thank you, and I hope to see you in the next video. Until then, bye for now.
Welcome to Myth.
Giving a huge super shout out and thanks to my latest Patreons for helping to support the channel. It means so much to me that you're willing to back what I do. Stay retro.